Welcome to It's an Idea, a weekly podcast about all things creative, which is usually recorded in our office away from home, a nearby coffee shop. This week, our topic is overcoming creative blocks. I'm Linda Hernandez, and I've got Kristen Lee as my special partner in the arts. You've probably experienced this at least once. Whether you're a designer, artist, writer, or musician, you know the feeling. You need to get to work, and you can't come up with a single good idea. You're stuck. That's a creative block. So let's get right to it and discuss tips or strategies that may help. Kristen, one thing I do when I get stuck is step away from the work. If I move on to something else and come back to the first project later, I'll often see something differently. I'd much rather leave the project for a while than stay with it and get upset with myself.
Linda, that is so smart. And you know what? Not only is it a good idea to change your surroundings, but if you decide to actually go for a walk, your chances of moving past that creative block improve greatly. A Stanford University study showed that walking boosts creativity by 60%. And it doesn't matter if you walk indoors or outside. It's not the environment that does the trick. It's the movement itself.
That's true. When I walk, I do seem to think of new ideas, and it gives me energy. But research also shows that surroundings can make a difference. Travel can make you more creative. A study I read showed that students who lived abroad were 20% more likely to solve a particular problem than students who had never lived outside their native country. Isn't that interesting? In fact, just thinking about a problem that's farther away from you, say in Greece rather than the United States, can help you think of more new ideas.
That's amazing. So, if you ask me to solve a problem in Nairobi, I might be more creative than if you say the problem affects my hometown of Chicago?
Yes, that's what the research suggests. Imagine if you traveled to Singapore. How would that affect your creativity?
All right. To deal with creative block, we've suggested walking and changing your surroundings, including travel. What other ideas work?
And don't forget that just putting the project aside can help. But I want to go back to the suggestion about changing your surroundings. Sometimes I go to a coffee shop like this one because I work better and the ideas seem to flow.
Really? I can do a podcast from a public place, but I don't think I could write an essay in one. There are too many distractions.
Some creative people, like the writers Franz Kafka, Charles Darwin, and Anton Chekhov, have to block out all that extra information coming in through the senses, the sights and sounds of other people. But others, like me, are able to sort of pull that information in and use it in their work. Recent research shows that people screen or tune out this information in different ways. I think you have to decide for yourself if you should work alone or with others in order to overcome a creative block.
I have a few ideas I try that we haven't mentioned yet. First, I go back to the drawing board, my original idea and plan. What am I trying to do? Then I look at the work of others. They might be people doing exactly the same thing I do, like designers. But I also get ideas from creative people working in different fields, like musicians and visual artists and writers. And a couple of other thoughts. Sometimes I try to imagine how someone else might see this problem or address this issue. For example, I might think, how would Shakespeare or Isabel Allende or even my mother write this scene? That helps me see it differently.
Those are great ideas. Also, if I make my writing, my creative activity, a daily habit, I tend to write more and be more creative. Habit or routine helps. The results aren't always perfect, but I get the words down on paper. Also, I try to think of a creative block as a way to grow. Thinking about it in a positive way helps me. The most important part of the process is the product. I'd rather not make something that's only adequate if I can make something extraordinary.
I agree.
Kristen, this has been great. Thanks so much for joining me in this conversation today.